The Last of Us HBO finale is finally here, and in my opinion, it was very good. Again, like every single episode that I have reviewed from episode 1 to episode 9, I believe that it's a very good episode. Every week I'm saying, turning on my camera on and saying it's good, it's good, it's good, it's good. It gets to the point where it's tiring, and that's why I cannot wait for next week, where I am going to release my season 1 full in-depth review of what I think about the Last of Us HBO show. And spoiler alert, I think it's a 9 out of 10. It's amazing. And there are things that I feel that, were shortcomings that could have made the show an actual 10 out of 10 perfect masterpiece, in my opinion, because they have the recipe. But there's little things that in this season they showcase that if they just made these little things better, it could have, been a 10 out of 10. And those things I will explain in that video. But for now, let's just focus on episode 9 of The Last of Us. And again, very good episode. I liked the Ellie and Joel relationship. Again, their performance, Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey as Joel and Ellie were just absolutely perfection, and just showcasing, everything that happened in the game and then in the Salt Lake City section. I really think that they did a good job. The giraffe scene was just super emotional and fantastic. And I actually didn't know that the giraffe was actually not CGI. It was actually real. Just everything else behind was a green screen and everything. That was very surprising. The conversations between Ellie and Joel when they're talking about, Joel, why he has a scar on his face, and he's basically saying, he admits, like, well, it wasn't really a soldier that did it. It was actually me. It was actually me because I wanted to end my life. Well, he didn't say that, but he was implying it. Like, he wanted to end his life. He didn't see any point, after Sarah's death, and he just flinched in the last second. And in between that conversation, Ellie was basically saying, well, it looks like, everything heals with time. And Joel looks at Ellie and basically saying, well, not everything really does heal with time. And he was basically implying that the only reason he feels healed now is because of Ellie, is because of their relationship, and the look that they share with each other was absolutely beautiful. And those are the moments that for me just makes this show absolutely fantastic. Just those little added stuff that they add to the story and their relationship. That is the reason why this show is so good, because it's not just the story that they pull from the video games, which sometimes is scene by scene from the video games. The stuff that they add even before that, or in context to that scene, to those scenes, for me are just so good, and it shows the quality of writing. HBO just did a very fantastic job, in my opinion. Like, this episode is showcasing the good stuff of The Last of Us, but it also does showcase the little stuff that do annoy me, which is the lack of infected, the lack of this world feeling cruel, the lack of this world feeling like in every corner you could possibly encounter bandits or clickers or runners or bloaters. In the game, you perfectly have that. In every single section, you get from, point A to point B, but to get to point B, it's a fucking hassle to get there. In this show, it doesn't truly feel like that. And those, again, are the little shortcomings that I feel that they should fix for season 2, because if they do fix that, those little things that, I just mentioned, I think season 2 is going to be perfection. And I really do hope that they do listen to those little criticisms, which I believe are valid. And those are the reasons why I also feel like this episode, again, falls a little bit short from being perfect, because it had the recipe to be perfect, but it wasn't. Everything else, when it comes to the people stuff, fantastic. When it comes to the story elements, when it comes to Anna's mom, Ashley Johnson, perfection performance. I honestly enjoyed her section in the story. But again, this show, fantastic. When it comes to the story stuff, so good. But just the little elements of these of this show, the lack of infected, the lack of just action in certain moments, the lack of this world feeling super cruel, those are the things that just knock it back a little bit for me. And it is literally why I prefer the video games, to be honest. And another thing that I didn't really like about this episode, but it's not truly something that really throws me out, it's just that I prefer the video game version, because you may prefer this version. I prefer the video game version. And the thing that really did bother me a little bit was just how it felt too rushed. And it was literally my biggest concern for this episode. The reason why I was feeling that, and a lot of people were feeling that, is because this episode is only 43 minutes. They could have added more stuff with Ellie and Joel. They could have added more stuff, like, for example, probably an infected fight before getting to the hospital. Again, another thing that I feel why the world feels a little bit empty. Why not, get into like this big city where they're at, Salt Lake City. It's not like it's just not, filled with infected. Like, you get into a certain corner, you may find a clicker, you may find a bloater, you need to escape. They could have added these little things if the episode was longer. And that, again, is something that, pisses me off a little bit. Why not make this episode longer? It's the finale. It's the grand slam. It's like the final battle of a superhero movie. It's like when you watch Spider-Man 2 and you watch the train scene. That shit is like literally peak fiction, in my opinion. And if it doesn't have those epic moments, then you don't really remember it as much, because it's a final battle. And if you have so many good things when it comes to the personal stuff before and the story itself, and then you don't have and they don't deliver a very good, final battle, then it feels a little bit, like a missed potential. And in this case, again, they could have done that. They could have had a last opportunity to showcase how cool the world of The Last of Us is, and they really didn't. And again, the hospital scene, it felt a little too short. I wish that they focused more and gave a little bit more time with Joel trying to, get to Ellie, but struggling versus these fireflies. Literally, it was like a 2.5 minute scene of Joel literally massacring everyone, and that's it. You could have shown more. Give more time to it. Probably have Joel, in his mind or saying out loud, "I'm coming, baby girl," or and trying to fight his way through, showcase that, massacre that he did in a more brutal fashion, truly showcase how he was struggling to get from point A to point B, which is to Ellie. And that would have been for me a little better. You feel that way in the game because, and more if you play in the higher difficulties, it's a fucking hassle to get from point A to point B. It's not easy, right? It's a lot of people coming against you, and I feel like that's why the game for me just works way better than in this show when it comes to that aspect. But again, those are the little things that just annoyed me a little bit about this episode. And those are just little things that really, showcases the little things that annoys me about the show itself. And that's why I can't give this show in its total a 10 out of 10. I wanted to, because it has the recipe for a 10 out of 10. It's just the little shortcomings like those are the reasons why I have to knock it down a little bit to a 9 out of 10 in total. And again, this episode, very good, of course, but the little, shortcomings did, knock it back a little bit. And if those things that, annoyed me and some fans while watching this show are fixed in season 2, we're probably looking for a better season, something that is just gonna be absolutely just fantastic. And honestly, I cannot wait to see what they do with season 2. Hopefully they do listen to the fan base feedback of season 1 and just make it even better than what it already is. And this is all basically safe for episode 9 of The Last of Us HBO show. Again, very good show in its entirety, and I cannot wait to tell you guys my in-depth thoughts on season 1 of The Last of Us HBO show this weekend. Stay tuned for that video. Remember to like the video, subscribe to my channel if you like my content, and I cannot wait to show you guys what I truly think completely of this amazing show. Endure and survive, my friends, and I'll see you guys next time.